Good afternoon. It's 3 p.m., a little bit over, but we are here. So today we are talking about 2026. This is our last Saturday webinar before we turn into New Year. So follow us on social media and see our year-end greetings, and we put some good effort to it, and I was hoping to make you smile. And here today, let's talk about small business predictions for 2026. So in the webinar introduction, you kind of see how I approach this, right? So everybody gonna give you a data to prove a point. But what we want to do here is that to relate to the big economic data that the economists actually came up for you. So I referenced to some of the research I did with Bank of America, Deloitte, and all the other census bureaus, all their data to sort of understand, okay, what other people see about our world, right? Here in United States of America, and we are focused on small businesses, are the businesses you have, I have, and we are belonging to this big spectrum of business sizes, and we want to know what's going to happen to 2026. And I know you have a good feel about 2025 already because you basically come through it. You already knew what happened. So based on what we knew about 2025 and looking forward to 2026, here are those predictions, and we want to talk through that. Hopefully, at the end of this webinar, give you a little idea of how you should set up your New Year goals for your business. Let's get going with that. And the first slide here is about our firm. You can log in communitycpa.com. On that main screen, you will see all these functional buttons on the top right. Onboarding with us is a place where you can become our client without needing to, reach us. You can start from there. Then we will be bringing you on board. And the appointment button is where you have one-off question. Absolutely, all the internet research give you too many answers. You don't know which one is which, and want to get an expert opinion on certain things. You come to appointment button, and we can have a video meeting. Then the other three buttons are all for our client. So this is kind of how our website works, and we have on our website it will give you the partner informations, and it's just us, right? The firm. We have been on market nearly 28. I think this year is 28. We have 2 more years to reach 30 years time of the firm. This screen you see, it is a YouTube channel. We established YouTube channel in 2020. So this is our 5 years for the YouTube channel, and we have more than 1,600 videos in our library, and we continue to bring knowledge to you, right? Just like today, and we do our homework, and we want to kind of bring in our small business owners to give you a place and a platform where you know that this information is not entertainment. They are literally solid knowledges we want you to have so you can guide your business growing properly. I have 2 books. On Amazon, I have 2 more to go on the timeline, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and I have 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. When I got those 2 up, you will see 4 squares here. I am still working on it. And no responsibility disclaimer, it's just to say that make sure that you really understand the source of data. So I have clients, right, email me, oh, Ying, I found this thing on internet. It says something different than what I hear you saying. Then yeah, maybe I said it wrong, right? But it's also very possible that the source data you are looking at is irresponsible gossiping site. So you want to separate these kind of entertaining versus actual knowledge transfer. So at our community CPA channel, we do actual knowledge transfer. We're not good with entertainment. I would be intrigued. I fancy for that, but I don't think we really have that time and energy to do a entertainment. So financial data can be entertainment as well when people play that with non-serious intent or serious misleading intent, right? So just make sure you use your judgment on that one. It's so important. So now let's talk about this microeconomy content. This I know you heard of this GDP terms, right? For in terms of the country's economy, most often used ratio is actually GDP, gross domestic production. By the word itself, you kind of know that it measures how the product domestically is created. So they want to measure that volume to figure out whether you are growing or not growing. So the prediction for 2026 is from 2 to 2.4% right now. And why am I bringing that up? Because I want folks to understand that 2% is considered passing grade. If you talk about A to D, D as fail, F as it's not F fail to. I never got F, so I don't know what F is. But the A and the B, the C is the passing grade, right? So generally viewed as a positive, stable, sustainable, that sort of indication for a well-developed country, which U.S. is. So what that means is that the economists from Bank of America, and they were saying that the country will be relatively flat and stable. And I want to give you a reference. The highest GDP number in our country is 18.9% one year to another. That is Franklin Roosevelt time, 1942. Okay? And then, of course, in 2023, this is the one, 2024, it was not available, but 2023 is 2.89%. 2022 is 3.27%. 2021 was 6.06%. So that gives you understanding. If you want to bring that to be political kind of view, then you have Biden's time, now you have Trump's time. So the prediction for 2026 is 2 to 2.4%. Consumer confidence and spending, this is very important. How we talk about momentums, right? When you work with the organization or when you just live on your own with your own feelings, sometimes you have the momentums of being positive. Sometimes you have the momentums just kind of down, right? You feel like every day you're sinking, that kind of thing. So that emotion, although is sort of individually created, but as a society, as a country, influenced by all kind of things together that create this momentum. Then the momentum is the best way to describe consumer confidence. Because you can't really measure that by, John Smith. Oh, he went to Hy-Vee, bought a whole bunch of things, so his consumer confidence is great. No, you don't do that. You go by the senses, the air, the feel, right? And the momentum, like whether people are gung-ho about going shopping, Christmas, Black Friday was packed and things like that. So that is slipping. That is not doing very good. The consumption is expected to slow in 2026, has already slowed in the fourth quarter of 2025. So that seems to be dragging, right? So this is what the big economists and the Deloitte economist giving this kind of feeling, this kind of writing. and driving by inflation concerns, tariff, and ever-changing government policies. So it's just not helping. The biggest importance factor for economy is stabilization, stable economy, and a peace in human life. Because when you have all these war going on, some people make a lot of money for weapon side of things, right? So there will still gonna be small cluster of people. They are going to make money just because they have the connection, just because they happen to be in that industry. But we're talking about consensus, the feelings, the momentum within the consumers, and it's not doing that great. And the monetary and the physical outlook, generally speaking, the Deloitte economist is saying that economic signals reflect slowing advanced economy growth and mixed signals. What does that say is that it's a slowing advanced economy. We are, and hopefully we will still be the advanced economy. So it is slowing down. So this is kind of how overall, if you call that air, this is the air we are breathing right now, and in the big sense of economy. So I want to show you this chart. You see this chart? This is only one of the few charts I took out because it gives me United States, so I want you to see it. You see how this measures the growth forecast. It says that from 2025 to 2026, U.S. is sort of same, from 2.0 growth to 1.9. So, I could just ignore the little difference on the decimal point and just say it's about the same. But if you look at Mexico, and they grow, and it doesn't mean that they grow in absolute dollar than U.S., but they grow from where they were to what they're gonna be in 2026 by a lot, right? So that is kind of, the general senses I kind of want you to just know. It doesn't really help you to make decisions for tomorrow, how much groceries you're gonna buy, but it just gives you a sense of how our economy would be. We are a advanced economy structure. We are a big camels. In Chinese, there is a Chinese saying goes, the dead camels is bigger than the horse. It signifies that if you have an advanced economy, and even if you are dying, you still have that the powers to go forward. So that is still hope that eventually you pull through. Don't be dead, right? So that's kind of dead camel bigger than the horse. I think that's how the Chinese slang goes. Not very good at translating, but it's culture. I felt like there's a lot of things when I experience that in U.S. A lot of times can trigger me think of a kind of saying in Chinese. I don't always remember all of it, but a lot of them just popping up, and I thought it was so amazing. Like, in China it's totally different from U.S., but the expression of things can be so close. Economic contest based on community CPA's clients. This is my promise to you. We are medium-sized business. We see a lot of businesses, right? So all of our businesses are not Elon Musk or Donald Trump kind of business. So we are really serving the small guys, the medium operation. If you ask me that, Ying, when you say small guy, what do you mean? Are you talking about $10,000 sales, or you're talking about $10 million sales? Small guys by SBA definition is 20 million. So I would say that we definitely service the 20 millions, and our biggest millions is probably 100%, 200% more of the 20 million. So our clients are definitely representing the small, the medium, that trusted our service. They're here, so we understand what's going on. The client of community CPA are operating in the economic environment characterized by the following. These are the characters I pull out based on all the cases we have and things we experience. Inflation and rising cost is actually the biggest one. So if you just do, you know how AI is so powerful, right? And if I just go to our agentic AI and I tell the agentic AI that give me the most often used adjectives in finance-related conversation, then the cost, rising cost, inflation, bad expression about inflation, those kind of sentences, words would show up immediately. So that just tells you that our client are struggle with that. So when they write to us or when they talk to us, what they are saying is related to inflation, their cost control, right? And then labor shortage is obviously clear. We have clients are literally shutting down certain branches because they just have a labor shortage. It was not because the business is not good. Business is still good, but if they don't have labor, how can they really stay that branch open, right? Access to capital is absolutely a thing. And this 20-25 years, we have so many people who are already very fluent with how to get bank to fund them. They're coming back for application of loans because of this and that reason. So access to capital become real issue and becoming more creative in the field. So we will talk about that later. And the supply chain disruptions and the tariff. And yes, we have clients, in the bordering state with Mexico, and the tariff tax was changing literally for a while, was changing so often. Even the brokerage firm and don't really know or advised to pause, so that way they know what to do and how to really make the bill right, because policy changes and the system didn't catch up. So there's so much going on in that regard. Of course, if you are in importing, exporting, you feel it right there with your invoice. But if you are the second tier of the economy, you're actually getting the goods from the importer, exporter, then you feel that like a month and 15 days delayed. Then when the stuff come to your hand, you just realize it's more expensive. And you're not necessarily getting involved with figuring out what this brokerage charges means and why it is so much. And last time we imported the same thing, it was only 10%. Oh, now it's 35%. So those are the real issue we experience with clients that dealing with importing, exporting from Mexico. So related to that, those are my client struggles. And if you are also my client, this is your family member struggles, and the regulatory and the tax complexity. And with OBBBA coming through, and there's a lot of advantage our business owners really should take, but not everybody think is related to them. So to us, those are struggles for CPA firms. You are our client. When we see you needing to can benefit from the new policies, and then you're not showing up, and that is something we knew is because it didn't get to you. It didn't get to you, and you think you're too small, you don't really get anything. So you're lacking of taking advantage of new policies. At the same time, the regulatory requirement is also heavily upon small business owners. Some of our small business owners don't really speak English. So of course you should speak English, and I encourage you to learn. But you don't speak good English, you can't deal with regulatory body. When you get audited or when you go to apply for certain license and the permits, and it become an issue. And we see that more and more just because the requirement on the government side hyped up, but on this end, the small business owners had less support overall. There are a lot of nonprofit organizations whose mission is to support small business owners, helping here and there, they are no longer there, right? Small business is really kind of hang and dry in terms of governmental support. You know that already. You already experienced that. By the time we arrive the end of 2025, you know these benefits are gone, right? And in fact, one of the programs I worked on with a local nonprofit, and one, Trump went in on January the 20th, become the president, and the agency called in April to shut down everything. So it is not even a year delay or anything, it's immediate. So you already knew that. And with that said, and it's not to say that, you don't have any help, so it's okay to do it around. That's not the case. So the more and the more regulatory compliance audits are coming to our small business clients. So we see that trend so clear in 2025. So I expected that to go forward in 2026. So when I'm saying that, what I try to say to you is that maybe you do your finance with the number you pull out of the sky, and you just go, I know the number, here is the number, and then you give to the tax preparer to prepare your return, and you need to stop doing that. You need to calculate your number with ledgers and proper accounting. Real story. I have a client, and the client running multi-million-dollar business, and they're new clients. When they came to me, you know what they told me? They said that none of the number on the tax return was a real number. It was all like estimated, the best estimate that he could do. But he swear he's very honest, he is not cheating money, and he just didn't really know how to do it, so he estimates. And of course, we say, no, you need to do accounting, and guess what? With his estimation, he pays about $500,000 taxes. And after we finished accounting for him, and with all of his ledger, detailed transactions, it took very good 2 months to get that done. And do you know how much this client owed taxes? Give me a number. So because he was going to pay $500,000 taxes, he didn't have the money, but he didn't really know why, because these numbers are honest numbers that he estimated, and he felt like he owes $500,000. So once we finish the accounting, do you know what his taxable income is? $5 million taxes means he has about over $1 million net profit. So after we finish accounting, his net profit is less than $500,000. This is where I say that you're not doing regulatory compliance and to pay more taxes. You are just doing regulatory compliance and meeting government requirement, and with scientists, with the science data, and with logic, with proper accounting. Then you will have a proper answer. Even if you do good accounting, you came up with paying a lot of taxes, then you should, because you made it. But what if you guess your number and pay more taxes? When you do real accounting, you actually pay less taxes. So how about thinking that way? A lot of times, our small business owners tend to pay more taxes than they should. That's the reality. All right, so small business sentiment for 2026. Overall confidence and optimism, and the majority of U.S. small, medium-sized business owners expect stronger 2026 performance. Okay, this is large data I got. Okay, the source I got is from investing.com, and I looked up their background, and they seem to have credentials to produce those kind of news. So I also looked at comerica.com, which is a financial institution. So they say that 74% of forecast revenue growth, which means that 74% of the business will grow up well, the sales will increase. That's revenue growth, right? And Comerica Bank survey, 80% of small business owners are confident about the future growth. So, this is the large data come out there. The expansion plan, nearly 60% of business planning to expand in 2026. 57% plan the capital expenditure averaging 109,000. Capital expenditure averaging just means that they're buying equipment or they're investing. So it is the money that they don't directly use in the operation. Is the kind of the icing on the cake kind of money you want to put somewhere to make more money, right? So that is 57%. All right, so now let's look at the broader small business economic data. So earlier, that data we were looking at is from the sources, from the Comerica and also from this investing.com. And here, these are the ones from U.S. Chamber of Commerce. These are the data. 55% of reported revenue increase moderately or remain the same over the year 2025. So they were expressing the experience for 2025. So they increased moderately and remained about the same over the year 2025. So in terms of projecting 2026, and the U.S. Chambers of Commerce are believing it will carry on to 2026 in a similar character. Small business owners' confidence and business sentiment fluctuated based on the economic uncertainty in 2025, which we knew, right? So every time President goes on talking about changing the plan on tariff tax, and then it sends shockwaves to the stock market. And people who has inside information can just make a lot of money, and otherwise everybody loses money. So cash flow and confidence indicators, some declines in cash flow comfort, and the business health were noted in the earlier survey. So which is right above it. It's like is kind of flat. It is nothing too extreme unless we get into war, right? So the economy should just be flat and be forward. So the way we see it at Community CPA, we see some similarities to the large data, but we also see it a little different. Over 12,000 clients that we have seen 75% of clients increased in sales, okay, in 2025. So this is past data. So that tells you that, generally speaking, if you stay afloat in 2025, you sort of made it. 75% is pretty large. Of course, our client database doesn't represent the very, very not doing well business. They would not be my client either, right? If they don't really do well, unless they go into bankruptcy and they needed our help to get the paper ready, which we do. We have handful of businesses are going through bankruptcy, but definitely not avalanche kind of thing. It's just here and there, and some of them are even new clients to us. They just want to get ready for bankruptcy, so they come over to do a tax return, financial side of things. So it's not really part of the client that we serve on a daily basis. Nearly 50%. Okay, we know that 75% of our business clients are increased in sales, but nearly 50% of all clients' net profit from the operation was unchanged. Okay, it is either down some or about the same. So what does that mean? That means about the other half are still are increased in profit. So that just tells you that it's pretty flat in terms of up and down. And you may say that, oh, Ying, have you done this one for your prior years? I didn't do it for the prior years before, but I did something really meaningful this year, just to look at how how my data with all of our clients reflected with the larger economy. And how everybody says that our small business is the lifeline of U.S. economy. If small businesses are not doing good, and there's no way the country is doing good. So with that kind of statement somebody made, which I believe it is correct statement, so we care about looking at our clients, figure out what is really going on. Most of I made a separate note related to restaurant because most of the restaurant businesses are reported to be slow in 2025, and particularly the fourth quarter of 2025. It gives a lot of business owners a little bit of headache when they come to do tax planning at the end of the year, right? Normally when you do tax planning, we project, because we do that in the fourth quarter, so we project the 9-month or the 10-month for you, then have the annual average, right? Annual total. So many of our business owners will say things like, oh yeah, we cannot do it that way because my last quarter was so bad, was not good. So I'm not gonna make what you projected because my fourth quarter is down. So that is almost like a recording every time we get into the meeting. We'll hear people talking about that. So, but largely, almost certainly, all the restaurants are experiencing slowdown for the last quarter. A handful of business going through bankruptcy, like I mentioned to you, and more audit cases are coming to small business owners, folks, which is mainly initiated by the state government. You're surprised of me saying that, right? You're thinking is IRS, is federal government. No, it is the state government, and that would trigger and would initiate compliance audit, income audit, sales tax audit, you name it, they do it. So that had increased a lot. Of course, community CPA, we have branches in 4 different states, Texas, Minnesota, Iowa, California, and then we have, but we have clients all over the country. Not necessarily we have a branch there, but we have clients from almost all of the states. So that is a consensus we see here. And the state government is ramping up to make sure that they're in compliance. Maybe that is a federal government requirement that may be caused by the federal government actions to the state. So that part, I don't have inside information, but I can only relate to see the symptom of the small business world right now. The key economic challenges, people talk about the challenges. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce talk about small business challenges. They give these categories like inflation, cost pressure, tariff, tax, trade policy, labor market hiring struggles, of course, and we understand those are really as a small business owner, we feel that on our skin, don't you think? We feel it. It doesn't matter. And on the inflation part, for me personally, I don't think I ever ended up going to a grocery store and spending several hundreds of dollars. Groceries normally is something like in the high hundred. But look at what we are experiencing right now. And I know everybody has the same thing. So, inflation, it doesn't matter what the government tells you, is clearly there for you, right? And the tariff trade policy, that we see it with our clients, reflected on clients' complaint of their things is too expensive, or reflected on our clients who are builders and their stuff stuck at custom and they don't even have money to take it out because the tariff tax. So those are real stories, the real experience of our clients. Labor market, if you don't struggle on labor market, that means you are hiring yourself, you work within your family. For any businesses that 20 million and up and 10 million and up, you have employees. As long as you have employees, you know exactly what I am talking about. So it is it is a struggle today, but is it a struggle just for this year? I don't think so. I think that struggle started really clearly in 2020. So it's never ending. It still impacts the labor market. So we're suffering from the COVID time disruption to the labor market, and now it's still the whole economy is still wrapped around that trauma, trying to gain back to normal. It is not easy. So labor market plus this year's ICE raid and the deportation efforts, of course, some small business owners will definitely feel that to their stomach, not just the skin anymore, right? And the challenge that community CPA clients are currently facing. So, the labor shortage and unstable labor market environment is real. We can see that from the payroll processings. We have payroll services here, and how often and people, the restaurant owners, just change their labor, change the payroll names and all these things, and also, simply don't have payroll for a couple months because they can't find anybody to work. So those are very visible to, from our business standpoint, the fluctuation. Rates that spread out across the country that affects small business owners, yes. So they are, some of them we know and it got rated, and the consequences is that if you are being charged with harboring illegal immigrant, like you provide room and board, you provide a car, they work for you, you pay cash, and you are harboring illegal immigrant, and then you have a 10 years jail sentence to put upon you. So those are the things we see, and we know these are the policies, these are the policy makers, what they want to see in in the field. So as a small business owner, I know you don't participate in policy makings, but you just need to know what they are and really situate yourself so you can do the best you can to make sure your business is minimally affected, right? Not to be affected is not true. Everybody is affected, but you want that to be minimized. And the compliance audit are rising. This is one thing. People say that, a CPA business is a never fail business, because if the economy is good, everybody coming to do tax and accounting. If the economy is not good, everybody comes to do tax accounting to file bankruptcy. So, or they get audited, the government don't have money and they just gonna dig into a taxpayer's pocket. So all of these things are, they're talks, but to a certain degree, they're very true. So when economy is on the down and consumer sentiment are not excited, and then the government revenue are maybe shrinking, and especially if the governors are not friend with our president, and maybe he just doesn't get anything, and if that ever happened, and it will affect the state. If I were the leader of the state, man, I am going to audit anybody in the state to get some money so I can run the state. So, simple logic, right? I'm not a politician. I really don't understand how things are going, but that's just my, down-to-earth interpretation of why a lot of audit are triggered by the state. So DOL audit is one of the audit that is coming up, has been going pretty strong. The Trump administration actually increased the money for DOL because that's where they can catch all the illegals, the people who work without work permit, and so those are the openings for the government to implement what they want to see. So they don't want people to work in U.S. without status. So they want to regulate that, and I don't think the policy itself has a right or wrong labels on it. It's a policy. It's what the government wants to do. So ICE rates, of course, this is something. ICE get a lot of new funding. They're really the new initiative on the street with unlimited powers. So for small business owners, you want to be aware of that. And the payroll taxes and the compliance are also coming, because if you have people with wrong social security number that you are working, the payroll compliance is also heightened up. They're trying, when you try to submit those kind of W-2s, the system, the government system will reject you. So there's so many things that is coming up to the small business owners. If you got away from doing something that is not correct, and now it's time to make sure that New Year is coming and you make it right. You make it right. Because there's no magic to give you to say that you will be protected even if you're doing these old stuff. So we're in the new time, right? So that's what we want you to know our clients are facing, and this is real. This is real challenge. Right? Ying is not here to scare you, but I'm here to just give you the knowledge that I have. Okay? So economic tailwinds for 2026. So what this slide's really trying to say to you is that, economic overall growth is not a hard cut on December 31st, 2025, then you start new chapter for 2026. Like a balance sheet, right? In accounting, your balance sheet is carried over from 2025 to 2026 with the beginning balance. So our beginning balance of 2026 has these characters. Number one is tech innovation adoption. This is, this is actually an article coming out of QuickBooks Intuit. So Gasto also has a similar contributions to this 2026 projection. They're saying that the AI adoption expands small business capabilities and efficiency, reduces operational bottlenecks. Okay, this is what I want our small business to hear. The future of small businesses, it is not about competing on the price. The future of small business, whether you are successful or not successful, is on the AI adoption. AI adoption plus personality, it will make your business run really well. Of course, what I say is very general. Like you may say that, Ying, what do you mean by AI adoption? That doesn't even make any sense for me. What do you mean? Adopt a kid, name AI? No, right? AI adoption is more of looking at your operation to figure out which part of your operation can be utilizing AI technology and get you do better. A good example would be, how I have my calendars. Most of the days I have like 12 appointments in a day. And by the end of the week, I actually really don't remember how many people I meet, who I met for what, right? I just kind of have my calendar. And in the past, if someone called me on Friday, goes, Ying, I saw you this week, we talked about one question and you gave me the answer, but can you repeat that? I just don't remember. Man, that is something, I don't have a brain for that. So what I did is, for that particular small thing, I use AI. And I have a agentic AI that I will just tell AI, can you just give me my week and list it out, and in which appointment, how did I describe these certain things? So it will tell me. Sometimes I didn't do good bookkeeping, and then the AI goes, no, nothing to tell you. But if I did good notes in my summary, then AI will tell me what I did. So those are the things. It's just a small things for you, a good example, so you know that in your business, and you can utilize that as well, right? And I know one of the restaurants, how people book appointments. to come to eat, right? And they always know that there's will people to cancel the last day, the last minute. They cancel the booking. So what they did is they actually listed all the calls and the clients who called in, they didn't have seat, so they didn't really get booking. And so they track that list. So when this thing happened, and they use AI to go to find the person that called and wanted for that time. So they don't call 20 people to figure out who is coming. They know exactly who was going to come, who wanted to come, but they didn't have the time open. So those are examples. So the trend, okay, the tailwind of 2026 coming from 2025 is AI adoption. And a small business, you want to increase your AI adoption and to save your time on little things. And that is your win for 2026. Entrepreneurial surge, and in 2026, more new business will come out. Okay, as long as we're not getting into war, ladies and gentlemen, and the more entrepreneurial, intentional growth will come in, because what people realize with new technology, there's a new way doing things, there's a new way to present the same business to the customer. And a good example would be, with the AI, and we can actually, one of the company who sells AI driven the marketing plan. So they are doing marketing plan for companies. So they meet a company, they go, oh yeah, you do this and that. So the company will use AI. Will use AI technology and do analysis on this company. Then, based on what they understand, and then they will come up with a marketing plan. Because it is so quick and easy to do, so they came up with a business model, which is no longer some people coming to your company, talk to you, then go back to write a plan. What they did is they did an online application where it's a brand new business, where you just go in and upload your last year's financial and give me a blurb of your what kind of business you are currently doing. Tell me about your goal, and then there you go. Marketing plan came out, right? So this is entrepreneurial surge coming about, is triggered by technology advancement. The interest rate, the federal rate cut a little bit, and I don't know, they just cut a little bit. Maybe they're too afraid of inflation. The interest rate cutting can cause inflation out of control. So, the big economist has a concern, but for us, and we just, as a small business owner, if you have to borrow money, the interest rate went down a little bit. So it's still a good thing, right? All right, opportunities that community CPA clients are seeing. Startup companies are growing strong. More clients are startup new ventures to diversify the risk associated with one particular business. You know how the rate, the restaurant, the up and downs in 2025. So we have several restaurant owners who are very successful restaurant owners are diversifying their operation. They're moving to other businesses. So for that, the new business is a startup company, right? So that's kind of how things are going. Private funding and creative capital rising, those are becoming the thing. So they go to the bank says no, then they come back and they figure out a way to borrow from the family members, borrow from their community members, and coming together to do something. So those are becoming more and more. We hear client goes, yeah, I can't get bank loans, but my parents will do something for me, and they're at the retirement age, and they have a lot of 401k, but they just gonna take some money for us. So those are the things are coming through. Small businesses still need money to start, but the funding options becoming very different. And the buy and sell, merger and acquisition is seen everywhere, and not just because the impact of the economy is actually a lot of it is related to the baby boomers and the age generation of the people. Baby boomers obviously is the largest population that is still working. So those people are ready to sell their company or to move forward. So with that said, you see a lot of merger acquisition. You also see a lot of young entrepreneurs. Their concept is not about having the business forever. Their concept is build the business and sell it. So they don't have the emotional attachment like the older people do, right? Cannot give up their dog, cannot give up their business. And young people, it is a lot more free in terms of doing that. So you see a lot of buy and sell them before. It's combination of young, combination of the baby boomer. So we observe that at Community CPA. We also see a strong trend for international market. So strong trend for our client to start building businesses in Mexico, building business in Canada, and they're diversifying their money and they're diversifying their business risk. So those are the things. If that brings some light bulbs in your heart when I say that, maybe that is the way you could imagining your 2026. So business growth. I always describe business growth as a vertical and a horizontal. Horizontal growth basically is a growth of geographical differences. So you set up different branches to diversify your risk, right? Like Community CPA, we diversify our risk, our local risk if we have any, and then we go to different locations. But the truth is that Community CPA, we actually did different branches not because of the risk, it's because of our client. If we have too many clients in one area, and it makes sense to set up a physical location for them. So that is kind of how we diversified horizontally. But you can also do it vertically, which means that you build your capability within one company. So you may have a different you grow different skills or you grow different line of business, you expand like the grocery store and grow a eating area, right? Dining area, or the dining or the restaurant grow a gift store outside of the restaurant. So things like that, you grow vertically. So those are the opportunities that we see. And the strategic considerations for small business, manage cost and manage pricing. When I say manage pricing, I don't mean to say that reduce your price so you can sell more. No. Manage price also means increase your price. You cannot sell more and lose more money. And you may laugh when I say that. Is there people doing that? I will tell you, a lot of small business owners are literally doing that day in, day out. They create a lot of sales so they can lose a lot of money. Because from the sales to the profit, in between, they didn't know how to calculate. And they did not know their price is reasonable or not reasonable. They only look at the neighbors and goes, oh yeah, they're selling for $5, so I have to sell for $4. No. And it doesn't matter. They sell for $5 and what you sell. They sell for $5 because they use the tap water to make it. You sell for $10 because you use mineral waters to make it, right? I am just saying that, of course, your customer probably don't care about what water, cannot taste the difference. But the idea is you need to know your own cost before you talk about your price. So manage your price. Leverage technology. I mentioned that, right? AI. Technology is so important. And I will tell you, if you don't do it, your client will do it, your competitor will do it, and eventually you will not have a business. Workforce development. Focus on, upskilling your labor market. So in our firm, how a lot of large CPA firm, they're laying off their people because some of the work are replaced by AI engine. So with that, a lot of accountants at the lower level are losing their job. And so what the small firms like our firm, what's so good about that is we actually can afford to educate every professional staff we have to bring them up to another level in terms of their knowledge, right? So since AI is so good, then we just make sure that each one of us has a little AI under our belt. So that way, and we walk, we play, we do whatever things we do, our little AI assistant will always be there to help us, right? So those are the things we want you, small business owner, to consider. So, strategic advice from Ying. Finding AI use for your business. So make sure you use that and create a new stream of income for your business. This is 2026, okay? I'm saying that you adopt IT, you adopt AI, you create a new ways of making money. Just use imagination. Buy new ventures. If you don't create, upgrade your book and record to make sure you're compliant with all level of government. Compliance with all level of government. And do it right. I can't tell you how important that is to do it right. My client, the example I gave you earlier, and he didn't do it right, but he paid more taxes. He's doing it right, he paid less taxes. What's the deal, right? Why are you not wanting to do it right? Utilize local communities, make the best of your business locally. That's very important. That's very important. And one, economy is a little shaky, and the local outreach, whoever know you and what you do, it means a lot because you can still have the support from your local community. And just know that the business, yeah, you can build your business in the cloud and you feel like you're not local and you are universal and everyone is up on the cloud to find you. But in that cloud space, you still have a community. And you want to make sure you form one if you are a loner. Because if you don't, and you will not have a space and you won't survive. And the community, whether it's local, physically, you can see them, meet them, or they're up online, and a virtual community, they're all equally important. And do the most you can on tax planning and save tax dollars if you cannot save on supplies, right? So make sure that you do the tax planning. And we literally, there are small business, they're very small, but they still do tax planning because, instead of saving someone $200,000 on taxes, but the small business can save $2,000. But even $2,000 depends on how big the business is a big deal, right? So really, whether the dollar amount is a big deal or the percentage of tax reduction is a big deal, that depends on how you present that to the client. But my take is that you want to do it right. If you do it right, you save taxes, that's the way to go, okay? Tax planning is important. So policy regulation impact is big. If policy is not stable, small business is wobbling. And if policy is stable and the environment is predictable, then businesses will go properly. So we want to say that on the retirement side and the benefit side, there's some state mandates and the new policy incentives aim to expand retirement offering by 2026. So you want to watch your state government, see what they're doing on that. Like Minnesota implemented the new benefit policies in the beginning of 2025. A lot of business missed it. So make sure that whichever state you're in and you're alert with that. So where is the policy, affecting community CPA clients? In the following area, the governmental policy affects small business just as it impacts the big ones. Okay, the key is not about the policy; it's about how you use the policy to your maximum benefit. So it's really, you don't even need to spend time express your opinion about policy because it's already made, it's already out. Then you just need to figure out which one is good for you and which one you want to avoid. So that way you can take the maximum benefit you can get out of the policy. At Community CPA, we use policy for small business owners' benefit. To name a few, we use bonus depreciation, we use like-kind exchange, we do mark-to-market election for day traders. So, and I didn't really have time to go a long history on Community CPA, but let me read you this one. So last week, it was 4 working days, right, last week? So we completed, as a firm as a whole, we completed 14 tax planning sessions with our client. Okay, 14. The total tax saving were about $800,000 in tax dollars, total tax saving, from implementing new policies, you see? So those are the dollar amount directly related to you understanding the policy. So with that, I want to say that yes, the policy is changing, but you just brace the wind. When it changes, figure out what you can do with the policy, whether that can benefit you. Conclusions and takeaways. Economic outlook, 2026 will be a year of preparation for takeoff. That is my attitude to 2026. A year of preparation. So not a huge jump up and growth, but can prepare you to take off in 2027 and 2028. For small businesses, and will continue to grow, and we will learn to weather the storm. If the policy changes every once in a while, don't you get used to it will change? So if it is that way, maybe sometimes certain things you don't do, you just wait for the policy to change. So you will learn to weather the storm. And that is what, I want to tell my small business owners, just don't chase after the policy. Just let it happen, and then you figure out a way to brace it, okay? And the challenge opportunity is nothing more devastating than governmental issues coming to your door. Governmental audit, governmental compliance, and it's not that you are not doing well, it's just that is your extra energy, extra time, extra resources that need to be used to deal with these matters. But not deal with is not an option. You have to, right? So be prepared to engage Community CPA if you ever went into that situation. Don't try to make that do-it-yourself session because it's not good. When you have governmental audit come to you and you do it yourself, feel successful, but I have not seen that many. So in our firm, and we are experienced with that, so we can definitely help you. All right, the last slide I have for you is to conclude today's talk, right? So we talked about 2026. I didn't bring you earth-shattering excitement to 2026. And just because, the economy is like a balance sheet entry, we already this way in 2025. So 2026 is based on what we have in 2025. So if we are already in the trench, not doing so great for the fourth quarter, I can see that first quarter of 2026 will be challenging. But again, and there's so many things going on, and with AI, with improvement, with opportunities in business, and especially for the restaurant business, you think you get less sales. Let me tell you, the national chain of those restaurants, they're all struggling. And what I see right now is the local business are buying the national chain one by one. So if there is a national chain go down, and then that location, that customer who used to go there, it is all yours if you buy into that, right? So it's opportunity. All right, what you see here is the partners at Community CPA. You can book our time so we can come to see you on Zoom, on video call, so we can answer your question. With that said, when you when you start 2026, if there's anything you felt uncertain, there's anything you felt something more need to be done, and you want to do that, and you want to look out for your good partners in professional service and give Community CPA a try, we always welcome new businesses. All right, I will talk to